The quiet delinquent in your class? She's secretly homeless. You let her crash at your place, then realize she's your first love from kindergarten.
After sorting through old memories, one image stands out: a lone girl. This is the story of Akamori's first love, dating back to kindergarten. One rainy night at the park, Akamori sees a girl sitting on a bench. He recognized her immediately. It was Sutome, the beautiful girl well known throughout the school. Sutome rarely attended class, and her bright blonde hair and striking appearance often fueled rumors. She carried an aura that warned others to keep their distance, making her seem unapproachable. Akamori hadn't realized they went to the same middle school until he noticed her in his class. That night, seeing her sitting alone in the rain stirs something inside him. He hesitates before walking over and asks if she is Sutome. To his surprise, she recognizes him. When he asks why she is out there, she replies casually that she isn't doing much of anything. Worried, Akamori warns her that staying in the rain could make her sick. She dismisses his concern, saying she is fine and wants to be left alone. But Akamori can't just walk away. Her uniform is soaked, the fabric clinging to her skin, and her disheveled state speaks volumes. Sutome mentions that the rain is getting heavier, as if excusing her appearance. When he asks why she doesn't go home, he notices her skirt is wrinkled and messy. Then she says something that shocks him: she didn't have a home. Confused, he asks what she meant, though he already has a sense of the truth. From the moment he saw her, surrounded by terrible rumors and sitting alone in the rain, he realized she was carrying a heavy burden. Without thinking, he asks if she wants to come to his place. Sutome seems taken aback, but Akamori quickly explains. He tells her she can't stay out in the rain forever. While he didn't know what she was going through, she should at least think things over somewhere warm and dry. Her eyes flicker with surprise, and she asks if it is really okay. Akamori smiles and says that if she is comfortable with it, then it will be fine. When he sees her expression, he is reminded of the face she always made, a face shadowed by overwhelming sadness. Sutome finally agrees, and they begin walking together. Just like that, Akamori finds himself bringing the class loner home. That night, the rain poured heavily as they entered his house. Inside, he asks her to make herself at home. The air feels awkward, but he presses on, offering her a towel and some spare clothes to change into. Pointing toward the bathroom down the corridor, he suggests she take a bath and mentions she can wear spare clothes if she is comfortable with it. She nods in thanks and disappears into the bathroom. The moment she is out of sight, doubt hits him like a wave. He realizes the situation is growing stranger by the minute, and he has no idea what he is doing. Pacing back and forth, he begins to question himself. They are classmates, but is it really okay to bring a girl he barely knows into his home like this? No matter how he looks at it, this seems like the kind of situation that could turn troublesome. He wonders if he even needs to get involved in the first place. Despite his reservations, he can't have left her out in the rain. It isn't just a fleeting act of kindness. There is something about her that draws him in. Something deeper he can't quite explain. He hadn't been able to ignore her then, and he certainly can't now. Reflecting on his bold offer, he realizes how daring his words have been. It wasn't just sympathy that led him to invite her inside. What surprises him even more is that she actually accepted. Given the way his thoughts are spiraling, he begins to feel that this situation might lead to a positive outcome. He vaguely remembers a magazine article he read some time ago, which mentioned that when a girl agrees to visit your place, certain unspoken things might be considered acceptable. However, his thoughts quickly shift, and he snaps back to reality. His mind starts spiraling again, and he begins to worry. If something like that were to happen, it might be a trap. Rejecting a woman's advances could be seen as shameful for a man. But what if she hadn't given her consent? He has read too many stories online about men whose lives were ruined by misunderstandings. In his mind, he pictured Sutome sitting on his bed, whispering that she was ready. He imagined going along with it, only for her to suddenly pull out a camera, take a picture, and call the police. He could see himself pleading with the officers, trying to explain that it wasn't what it looked like. But he knew they wouldn't believe him, not even for a second. His youth, his springtime of innocence, would be over in an instant, leaving him to live a bitter life, perhaps in the next one. Shaking himself out of these ridiculous thoughts, he chastised himself for letting his mind wander and decided to focus on cooking dinner. While preparing the food, he mulled things over. First of all, he wasn't even interested in antisocial blonde girls. His type was more refined, graceful, and proper beauties. Just as he was lost in his musings, Sutome suddenly emerged from the bathroom, wearing his spare clothes. Her hair was still damp, and her face seemed to glow. She smiled softly and thanked him for the bath. The sight of her fresh and radiant after the bath was almost too much for him, and she seemed to sense his discomfort. When she asked if something was wrong, he quickly averted his gaze, never imagining he'd find himself in such an awkward situation. A girl fresh out of the bath wearing his clothes. Clearing his throat, he announced that dinner was ready. As they sat down to eat, Sutome apologized for being a bother, but he waved it off like it was nothing. When she took her first bite, her eyes lit up, and she praised Akamori, saying the food was delicious. He tried to stay humble, brushing it off as just fried rice, but the compliment caught him off guard. He hadn't expected their conversation to flow so naturally. Living alone had evidently sharpened his cooking skills. Sutome seemed surprised when she learned he lived alone, so he explained. Temporarily, he clarified, his father's job transfer had been finalized right after he received his acceptance letter to high school. Since it wasn't possible to change schools so close to enrollment, his parents and sister had moved ahead, and he would join them after starting 10th grade. For now, he was on his own. There is something Akamori wants to ask her, but he hesitates. He assures her that since he is transferring schools soon, there is little risk of his word spreading. More importantly, he has no intention of gossiping about it. He just needs to know if she is comfortable talking about it. Akamori asks what she meant earlier when she said she didn't have a home. He adds that if she doesn't want to explain, he won't push her. To his surprise, Sutome, after a moment's hesitation, begins to speak. She tells him that when she was little, her parents had divorced. From that point on, it had just been her and her mother, scraping by and barely making ends meet. To help out, she had started working part-time jobs, even skipping school sometimes. But one day, after returning from one of her shifts, her mother was gone. Akamori blinks in disbelief and asks if her mother had left a note or some explanation, but she shakes her head. She reveals that her mother had recently gotten a new boyfriend and might have left with him. Akamori's mind races, struggling to comprehend how a mother could abandon her own daughter, who worked so hard to support them. Sutome continues, explaining that after her mother left, the landlord came to her about their overdue rent. Without the money to pay, she had no choice but to leave. She packed what little she could carry and moved out of the apartment. As her savings ran out, her last option was to stay in a park. Akamori can't believe what he is hearing. The thought of her mother running off with a boyfriend while her daughter struggled alone is too much for him to process. It makes him feel dizzy. The whole situation feels wrong on every level. He cautiously asks what she plans to do now, though he fears hearing her answer. Sutome's sadness is clear in her eyes as she quietly admits she has no idea what to do next. Without thinking, Akamori offers to let her stay at his place for the time being if she has nowhere else to go. Sutome looks at him, startled, and quickly says she can't accept, feeling she has already caused him enough trouble just by coming here. He can see how uncomfortable and on edge she is. Gently, he reassures her, promising he won't do anything inappropriate. He explains that she can use one of the empty rooms, and he won't tell anyone about her situation. Akamori knows he isn't obligated to help her. This isn't his problem, and as a high school student, there isn't much he can do. But after hearing her story, he can't simply walk away. Something deeper, something buried in his past, compels him to act. The memory of his first love lingers in Akamori's mind. That girl had always sat alone in the corner of the classroom, looking so lonely. No matter how much anyone tried to talk to her, she never really responded. Yet, he couldn't help but feel curious about her. Now, seeing Sutome in the park, her image seems to overlap with that girl's. Perhaps it's regret, a lingering feeling of not being able to help back then. Sutome still seems hesitant as she asks if it is really okay. Akamori reassures her, saying they need to help each other when in trouble. He agrees but adds one condition. There is just one thing he wants her to promise. He explains that he won't ask for rent or anything else, but she should do her part-time jobs in moderation. More importantly, he wants her to start coming back to school and regain her normal life. She quietly nods, seeming to understand. Seeing her agree, Akamori feels a small warmth spread through him. He is happy that she can stay, and Sutome softly thanks him. And just like that, their cohabitation begins. Akamori doesn't realize yet that this arrangement won't be as simple as he thinks. Later that night, while soaking in the bath, his thoughts begin to wander. The realization suddenly hits him. He is now using the same bath that Sutome had just used. His heart races, and his thoughts stray to places he doesn't want them to go. Quickly, he snaps back to reality, trying to calm himself down. The morning arrives quietly, with sunlight filtering through the curtains as Akamori prepares breakfast in the kitchen. As he cooks, his thoughts drift to the previous night when he brought Sutome to his home. Only a single night has passed, yet it feels much longer. He realizes it has been ages since he last had breakfast. Usually he finds it too much of a hassle and skips it, heading straight to school. But this time is different. He can't follow his usual routine. He can't ignore her needs. Akamori lets her use his little sister's room, meaning she is sleeping in his sister's bed. The thought crosses his mind briefly. A fleeting image of what it would be like if she had ended up sleeping beside him instead. But reality, as always, isn't that kind. As he continues cooking, he wonders if Sutome is awake. She had been soaked from the rain last night, and he worries she might have caught a cold. Concerned, he decides to check on her. He heads upstairs and softly knocks on the door, asking if she is all right. Slowly opening the door, he sees that she is still sleeping. Akamori pauses, gazing at her face. Her long eyelashes, the soft red hue of her lips against her pale skin. She looks so peaceful. He is struck by how pretty she is. It is hard to reconcile this image with the rumors that surround her at school. Suddenly she stirs, and panic washes over him. If she wakes up now, she might think he is spying on her. His mind races for a place to hide, but before he can move, Sutome opens her eyes. For a moment, she looks confused, as though she has forgotten where she is. Then, realization dawns as she sees him and remembers she is at his house. Akamori quickly composes himself, awkwardly informing her that breakfast is ready in the living room. He adds that she can wash her face and come down when she is ready. She nods sleepily, getting up from the bed. As she walks out of the room, she bumps into the door, and Akamori can't help but find it amusing. Sutome clearly isn't a morning person. At the dining table, they eat in silence. Sutome takes a bite and softly says it is delicious. Relieved, Akamori explains that he isn't sure if she prefers bread or rice, so he went with rice. She nods, saying she likes rice, and he feels he has made the right choice. Yet, despite the warm meal, an awkward silence hangs between them. It isn't because she is a girl, there is something else. Sitting face to face like this makes everything feel more intense. Yesterday, when he impulsively brought her home, conversation flowed more easily. Now, sitting across from her, it feels as though a wall stands between them. They are classmates, but yesterday was the first time they really spoke. Since then, Akamori has asked himself over and over if he did the right thing. Even now, he still isn't sure. Sutome breaks the silence, softly asking if he isn't going to eat. Akamori nods and begins eating his breakfast. When they finish, he tells her he will leave first and that she can take her time getting ready for school. Feeling a bit self-conscious, he thinks they can't really go to school together. He also mentions that he washed her drenched uniform. She thanks him, looking surprised and almost in awe at how much he has done. Akamori admits he hasn't always been this capable. He explains that he never did chores until middle school, and that it was hard at first when he started living alone. But, as he puts it, you have to take responsibility when there is no other option. Looking at her seriously, he tells her not to worry too much about what will happen next, and assures her that everything will be all right. Sutome smiles at his words and agrees that it will be nice. After finishing breakfast, Akamori hands her a small key, a spare to the house. He explains that she will need it if they are going to live together, as she will be the one to lock up after him when he leaves. Sutome nods in understanding. Akamori pauses for a moment before suggesting, somewhat awkwardly, that they start calling each other by their first names. He reasons that living together while using formal surnames would feel too distant. Smiling, he proposes that she call him Akira from now on. Sutome agrees and says he can call her Aoi. The shift from formalities to something more familiar feels like an important first step in closing the emotional distance between them. Later, as Akira sits in the classroom waiting for the teacher to arrive, a voice greets him. It is Eiji, his only friend from way back. Their families have moved around a lot because of their father's jobs, but there was a time many years ago when Akira lived in this town. Back then, Eiji would always play with him when they were in kindergarten. They reunite in middle school, but Akira is still surprised by how much Eiji has changed, growing into a strikingly handsome guy over the years. Akira asks why Eiji isn't with Izumi today. Eiji explains that Izumi has gone to the staff room for something. Almost on cue, Izumi arrives, apologizing for making Eiji wait before throwing her arms around him. Izumi, not only the class representative but also Eiji's girlfriend, is as affectionate as ever. They are inseparable, the kind of couple that seems like they are meant to be. Akira thinks about how the two of them have been dating since middle school. They are practically famous for their relationship, always lost in their own world of affection and oblivious to everyone around them. Suddenly, Akira coughs, unintentionally drawing attention to himself, and with a teasing smile, Akira remarks if she has forgotten about him. Izumi's face lights up as if she remembers something important. She mentions that she's coming today, and just as those words leave her lips, Aoi steps into the classroom. Akira can't help but notice how the other students react. Some whisper among themselves, surprised by her presence, noting how rare it is for her to come to school. One even mutters that they had almost forgotten about her. Izumi, however, doesn't miss a beat. She walks over to Aoi and asks how she is. Aoi tries to stay casual, greeting Izumi back. When asked how she has been, Aoi replies simply that she is fine as usual, though her tone seems a little guarded. Izumi, unfazed, smiles even wider and assures her that being normal is the best. Akira observes the interaction from his seat, struck by Izumi's kindness. While most of the class either ignores Aoi or doesn't know how to approach her, Izumi's open and friendly nature stands out. Izumi speaks to her confidently, unfazed by the whispers and stares of their classmates. It is clear, though, that Aoi isn't fully open to her, but Akira can't help wondering what will happen when he eventually transfers schools. Without him, Aoi will lose not only a place to stay, but also the fragile sense of belonging she has started to find at school. Aoi's situation is precarious. She rarely attends classes, and her teachers don't think highly of her. She is a student with no support, burdened by a poor reputation. Akira doubts there will be anyone willing to extend a hand once he leaves, unless Aoi herself makes an effort to change things. But that seems unlikely. Just then, Eiji leans over to Akira with a teasing grin, asking if he is really that interested in Aoi coming to school. Akira quickly denies it, insisting it isn't like that, trying to dismiss the idea. Eiji, however, presses further. Akira glances briefly at Aoi before replying. He mentions that she had attended the same middle school as them, and admits he is just curious if she has always been like this. He wants to understand more about her past and how she became the person she is now. Eiji thinks for a moment before responding. He agrees that Aoi has always been that way. They hadn't been in the same class as her, but back then, she didn't really stand out. It wasn't until high school that she became more of a loner. Akira finds himself lost in thought, reflecting on how much Aoi has changed since he first met her. From what he has heard, she has completely shifted her style around that time. Noticing his distraction, Eiji offers a sincere word of support, telling Akira that he is there if Akira needs someone to talk to. Feeling slightly embarrassed, Akira shakes his head and assures him it is nothing, but he appreciates the sentiment. Still, Eiji's words linger in his mind for the rest of the day. His thoughts keep circling back to Aoi and their new living arrangement. He doesn't have clear answers about how things will work. Instead, his mind is filled with endless questions. As evening falls and the chill of the night sets in, Akira sits at home, realizing how cold it has gotten. Earlier, he had given Aoi a long-sleeved shirt, but he doubts it is enough to keep her warm. She had mentioned bringing only the bare essentials, which likely means she doesn't have many spare clothes. Beyond that, there are probably other necessities she wouldn't feel comfortable mentioning to him. Determined not to let her stay uncomfortable, Akira decides to check on her. In the living room, he sees Aoi and tells her it is cold tonight, offering her some extra clothes. Aoi quietly thanks him, and an idea begins to form in his mind. He asks if she has any plans for tomorrow. She says she doesn't, mentioning that she has reduced her part-time shifts during the week since she is attending school again. Akira hesitates for a moment before suggesting they go shopping together. Aoi looks surprised and blushes, clearly flustered. Realizing how she might have misunderstood, Akira panics and quickly explains. Waving his hands, he clarifies that he doesn't mean it in that way. He stammers, saying he thinks she might need more clothes and daily necessities, and since there might be a lot to carry, he could help. Aoi, now understanding, lets out a small laugh and apologizes for the misunderstanding. Akira shakes his head, saying it is his fault for not explaining it better. Aoi admits she would like to go but hesitates, mentioning that she doesn't have enough money until her next paycheck. Without missing a beat, Akira reassures her, saying she can count on him. But Aoi shakes her head again, insisting she doesn't want him to pay for her or feel burdened. Akira, however, is firm. He tells her that he has saved up for emergencies, and that this counts as one. It isn't just for him, but for both of them to live comfortably. He smiles, hoping to ease her worries. Aoi hesitates, asking if it is really all right. Akira reassures her again, and she finally thanks him, though he can't help but notice the troubled look on her face. It is as if accepting help causes her pain. They say goodnight soon after, but the image of her expression lingers in Akira's mind. He can't stop thinking about her circumstances and how difficult things must have been for her. It's Saturday, and Akira and Aoi decide to visit the mall. As they stroll, Akira breaks the silence by suggesting they check out some clothes first, and Aoi simply agrees. They step into a boutique, and Akira immediately notices how the store is clearly targeted toward girls. The realization dawns on him. He's surrounded by nothing but girls, making him wonder if he should have chosen a store that caters to both. His gaze drifts to Aoi, who seems hesitant and isn't picking out any clothes. Curious, he approaches her and asks if anything has caught her eye. Aoi confesses that it's hard to choose. Then, almost out of the blue, she asks Akira what kind of clothes he thinks would suit her. Akira pauses, caught off guard, and tells her it's more about what she likes rather than his opinion. But Aoi, with her gentle reasoning, replies that since Akira is the one paying, it would help if he made the decision for her. This surprises him, such an important role handed over so easily. He starts to think, should he go for something neat and proper? Maybe a bright blouse paired with a long skirt for the season. Something that evokes a sense of coolness. A pleated skirt might be even better. His mind wanders, imagining the endless appeal of those pleats, but he quickly reels himself back. In truth, he has no idea what girls actually like. His musings become vocal as he wonders aloud if something flashy might suit her. Aoi, confused, asks what kind of clothes he's talking about. Akira realizes how vague that sounds and explains that there's such a wide variety of girls with similar styles to Aoi. From those who tan at salons to those who meticulously maintain pale skin, he had even researched this last night. Aoi softly says she prefers more subdued clothing. Akira nods and asks if something neat and clean would work for her. As he reflects, it dawns on him that Aoi fits the neat and proper type, and he likes that about her. He points to the clothes on a nearby mannequin and suggests she try them on. Aoi agrees and Akira waits. As he waits, he becomes aware of how crowded the store is. The thought nags at him. What if someone from their school sees them together? Rumors could spread, whispers about them dating in secret. It would be troublesome. Worse, what if Aoi's circumstances or even their cohabitation was exposed? The thought unsettles him. He decides it's best to finish up and leave as soon as possible. Aoi's voice pulls Akira from his thoughts as she apologizes for the wait. He's about to brush it off, but the words catch in his throat when he sees her standing before him in the outfit he picked out. She looks stunning, and for a moment, he's speechless. Although he knew he had chosen the clothes, seeing her wear them leaves him pleasantly surprised. They suit her far better than he imagined, and he feels a quiet sense of pride. Noticing his pause, Aoi asks if the outfit doesn't suit her. Akira quickly reassures her that it looks amazing, and she seems relieved. They agree to purchase it, but when Akira suggests buying a few more sets, Aoi hesitates. She insists she can't let him buy her multiple outfits. Akira gently assures her that she doesn't need to hold back, but he can tell from her expression that she feels more troubled than grateful. Understanding her feelings, he proposes a compromise. She can treat it as an advance and pay him back whenever she's able. He reminds her that he just wants them both to live comfortably without worrying about minor details. Smiling, he offers this solution, and Aoi responds in a soft, uncertain tone, asking if it's really okay. Akira firmly reassures her, and to his surprise, she smiles. A small, slightly stiff smile, but one that is undeniably sincere. It's the first time she has smiled at him, and the moment strikes him deeply, leaving him unexpectedly happy. As they continue walking, Akira suggests they check out another store, but his thoughts keep returning to that smile. After a while, he asks if there's anything else she'd like to buy. Aoi shakes her head but hesitates, and Akira notices the uncertainty in her eyes. She quickly responds that it's fine, but Akira isn't convinced. He gently encourages her, saying they're already out and she can say whatever is on her mind. When she still hesitates, Akira decides to take the lead and asks her to follow him for a moment. He leads her to a nearby salon, and Aoi's eyes widen in surprise as they approach. Akira couldn't stop thinking about the troubled look she had earlier, and while he loves her black hair as it is, he wanted to give her the option to make it even more beautiful. Aoi immediately protests, saying it will be too expensive, but Akira shakes his head with a reassuring smile. As they step inside, the salon staff warmly welcomes them, and for a brief moment, Akira's thoughts wander, wondering why male beauticians always seem to look so strikingly handsome. Akira explains to the staff that they don't have an appointment, and asks if that will be a problem. The beautician reassures him it is fine and asks if both of them need haircuts. Akira clarifies that it is just for Aoi and asks them to take good care of her. The staff nods and motions for an assistant to lead Aoi to her seat, but Aoi freezes. Flustered, she stammers, saying she isn't his girlfriend. Akira is stunned and doesn't know how to respond. Even the staff look momentarily caught off guard. Trying to smooth things over, Akira gently explains that the staff probably didn't mean it that way, suggesting it is just a casual customer service term. Still, Aoi is embarrassed, realizing she has misunderstood the situation entirely. As Akira watches her, he can't help but reflect on her innocence. There is an almost naive quality about her that he has noticed since the first time he invited her to his home. From her outward appearance, anyone might assume she is a typical delinquent, with her blonde hair and gyaru style. But the truth is far different. It is surprising enough to learn that she works part-time to help support her family financially. Curious, Akira asks her why she said this is her first time at a salon. Aoi smiles faintly and explains that her mom used to cut her hair for her, and as for the blonde color, they had bleached it together at home. Akira pauses, thinking for a moment before asking if she isn't actually a gyaru. Aoi looks confused and asks why he thinks that. Akira has suspected it before, but now he is certain. Aoi isn't the rebellious gyaru or delinquent she appears to be. She doesn't skip classes out of defiance, but because she is helping her family. She doesn't bleach her hair to follow trends or stand out. It is simply a shared experience with her mother. Beneath her outward appearance is just a regular girl who cares deeply about her family. The beautician, having overheard their conversation, smiles warmly and says he is honored to welcome Aoi to her first salon experience. Aoi sits down in the chair, and the beautician asks how they should proceed. Akira, now fully aware that Aoi isn't the person everyone misunderstands her to be, finds her earlier reaction simply adorable. When the beautician glances at him for guidance, Akira tells him to go ahead and make her look even prettier. As the beautician works on Aoi's hair, Akira's thoughts wander. He realizes how deeply he had misunderstood her. Aoi isn't the rebellious girl people think she is. She is a reserved, kind-hearted person who had unintentionally reinforced the misconceptions others had about her by keeping her distance. Akira feels a newfound determination rising within him. He now understands what he can do for Aoi. The beautician's voice brings him back to the present, and Akira turns to look at her. She is stunning. Her new look takes his breath away, leaving him momentarily speechless. Aoi, feeling unsure, hesitates and asks if she looks weird. Snapping out of his daze, Akira quickly reassures her that her new hair color suits her perfectly. When she presses further, still uncertain, he firmly tells her he would never lie. Hearing this, Aoi finally relaxes, realizing everything is fine. As they leave the parlor, they thank the beautician for his work. While walking outside, Akira thinks about grabbing lunch before heading home, but feels uneasy about the crowded streets. The more people around, the higher the chance of being seen together, which could lead to complications. Deciding it is safer, he suggests they head home and buy whatever else they need online. Aoi agrees, and they begin making their way out of the busy area. Just as they are about to leave, Akira's heart skips a beat at the sound of a familiar voice calling out, teasingly remarking that Akira is on a date. Shocked, he turns toward the voice and sees Izumi and Eiji standing there. Panic sets in immediately, but he tries to keep calm as he asks what they are doing there. Eiji, smirking, comments that this is a popular date spot. Izumi joins in, teasing Akira for not mentioning he had such a cute girlfriend. Aoi stands silently, watching the interaction. Izumi introduces herself to Aoi with a friendly smile, and also introduces Eiji as her boyfriend. Akira, on edge, hopes desperately that they won't recognize Aoi. But then Izumi asks Aoi for her name, saying she looks familiar. Akira's heart races as he silently prays that they won't piece it together. Eiji's eyes suddenly light up with recognition, and he asks Aoi if she has changed her hair color, mentioning that black suited her better. Izumi's expression shifts as realization dawns on her. Aoi nods, and Izumi gasps, marveling at how pretty she has become to the point of being unrecognizable at first. Akira, meanwhile, feels like his soul has left his body. As Izumi continues admiring and praising Aoi, they ask the inevitable question, what are they doing here together? Akira knows in that moment there is no escaping this. It is all over. Eiji, Izumi, Aoi, and Akira sit together in the cafeteria. Eiji tries to ease the tension, joking that he won't tease Akira this time. But Akira's mind races as he wonders how much he should reveal, and how much could he share without overstepping. He knows that avoiding the truth will only complicate things, but being completely honest means exposing Aoi's personal circumstances. The weight of the decision presses on him. At the same time, he realizes that trusting Eiji and Izumi might be the best option. It's better to confide in close friends than risk wild rumors spreading later. Turning to Aoi, Akira asks gently if it would be all right to tell them everything. Aoi looks surprised and uncertain, hesitating for a moment. Sensing her unease, Akira reassures her, saying he completely trusts Eiji and Izumi. They aren't the kind of people who would carelessly share her secrets. After a brief pause, Aoi nodded in agreement. Akira lets out a sigh of relief, thanking her before turning to his friends. He tells them that what he is about to share needs to remain a secret and asks for their help. Eiji leans forward, raising an eyebrow, and says it depends on what Akira is about to reveal, but promises to keep it confidential. Izumi nods, silently agreeing. Taking a deep breath, Akira begins explaining everything. Aoi's situation, their unexpected cohabitation, and the struggles she faces. As Akira speaks, Eiji's expression shifts to shock. When Akira finishes, Eiji is the first to respond. He admits he hadn't expected anything like this and asks what they plan to do next. Akira takes a moment to think before replying. He says he wants to resolve Aoi's situation before they start their second year. This includes fixing her living arrangements and addressing the rumors about her. Though he doesn't have a clear plan yet, he is determined to help her through it all. As Akira speaks, Aoi watches him closely, moved by his sincerity. He admits that their cohabitation is still new, and their relationship has mostly been limited to small conversations. Clenching his hands, he declares that he has made up his mind. From the moment he learned about Aoi's situation, he wanted to help her. Even before his feelings of worry, something about her compelled him. Maybe it is the remnants of his first love, but he knows there is no pretense in his heart. Helping her just feels worth it. Eiji grins, now fully understanding the situation, and agrees to help. With a confident smile, he remarks that Akira can never leave things alone. Flustered, Akira tries to protest, but Eiji nods knowingly, adding that Akira isn't the type to offer help half-heartedly. When the time comes, he always acts without hesitation, and that's just the kind of person he is. Akira thinks deeply, trying to remember if he has ever behaved that way. Still, he feels relieved to hear Izumi's support. He starts to ask her opinion, but before he can, Izumi wipes away tears and nods, saying she will help. Overcome with emotion, she tries to stop herself from crying, but her reaction reassures Akira. Eiji breaks the moment by asking why Akira has set a time limit before becoming a second year. Akira freezes, dreading this question. With a heavy sigh, he reveals the truth. He is going to transfer again. Both Eiji and Izumi are stunned. Akira explains that his family had already moved away in the spring because of his father's job. He had stayed behind to finish the year at this school, but would transfer to a new one next year. Izumi is shocked and asks if Hiyori has also left. Akira confirms it, explaining that Hiyori, now in her third year of middle school, will benefit from transferring early since it will help her prepare for high school entrance exams. Hiyori and Izumi have always been incredibly close, and Akira regrets that Izumi has to find out this way. Concerned, Akira asks if Izumi still wants to stay in touch with Hiyori. Without hesitation, Izumi reassures him that it isn't an issue and that she understands. Eiji, still processing the news, expresses his surprise. Akira admits that he wants to hear Aoi's thoughts before making any final decisions, and Eiji agrees. Turning to Aoi, Akira asks if they should leave now. However, Aoi smiles gently and shakes her head, saying she still has something to take care of there, and that Akira can go on ahead without her. Izumi, curious, asks if Aoi needs to do more shopping and offers to join her. Then, turning to Eiji, Izumi reminds him about their date that day. Smiling, she tells him she loves him before leaving with Aoi. Left alone at the table, Akira and Eiji sit across from each other in silence. Breaking it, Akira smirks and remarks on how easily Eiji and Izumi express their love so openly in public. Eiji shrugs, saying it's natural for a couple. Akira questions whether couples need to say it aloud if they are already close enough to understand. Eiji leans back thoughtfully and shares his perspective. He believes that no boy and girl, not even family members, can completely understand each other without words. That's precisely why communication is so important. Eiji explains that while being considerate and leaving things unsaid might seem thoughtful, it isn't the same as avoiding necessary conversations. Eiji advises Akira that if he wants to be with someone who matters to him, he needs to have honest conversations. He doesn't have to fully understand her feelings immediately, but should at least try to talk openly. Eiji also points out that Aoi seems like the type to keep things to herself, so Akira should approach her carefully. Akira takes this advice to heart and knows what he must do. Later that evening, Akira is in the kitchen, cooking dinner. As he works, he wonders what time Aoi will get home. He considers sending her a message but hesitates, not wanting to disturb her. He finds himself wondering if this is how all boyfriends feel while waiting for their girlfriends to return. Suddenly, the smell of something burning pulls him out of his thoughts. His hamburger has scorched. Just then, the front door creaks open. Akira turns and greets Aoi, welcoming her back, but she immediately apologizes for being late. A bit confused, Akira listens as Aoi explains that she had lunch with Izumi after finishing her shopping and hadn't realized how late it had gotten. She apologizes again, saying she had planned to come home earlier. Akira gently shakes his head and tells her she doesn't need to apologize. Aoi hesitates before explaining that in the past, whenever she came home late, her mother would scold her harshly. Akira feels his heart sink. For Aoi to tremble over something as small as being late, he can't help but wonder how strict her mother must have been. The thought troubles him, but then he recalls Eiji's advice, not to mistake consideration for modesty and to talk about what really matters. Looking concerned but trying to keep his tone gentle, Akira asks if they can talk for a bit. He starts by asking if she had fun with Izumi today. Aoi nods, smiling, and agrees that it was fun. Curious, Akira asks what they did. Aoi pauses before admitting that she's rarely had the chance to go out and enjoy herself with someone. She explains that her mother was very strict, so she usually stayed home during holidays. But today, spending time with Akira and Izumi made her so happy that she completely lost track of time. Akira smiles and says he's glad to hear that. He reassures her that she doesn't need to worry about coming home late anymore. Trying to keep the mood light, he remarks that time flies when you're having fun. He looks at her warmly, admitting he doesn't know how her mother feels since every family is different. But seeing her enjoy herself so much that she forgot the time makes him happy. Akira assures her that his concern wasn't about being upset. He was simply worried about her. Aoi, touched by his words, looks at him with gratitude. Akira gently asks if she could let him know in the future if she'll be late, just so he won't have to worry. Aoi nods, promising to make sure she does it from now on. She mentions that she has a lot of fun but admits she isn't very good at talking to people and worries that Izumi might have found her boring. Akira immediately reassures her, saying it isn't like that at all. Her face brightens, hopeful that he is right, though she confesses she still feels a bit jealous of how close Akira is with Izumi and Eiji. This catches Akira off guard. It is the first time he hears Aoi express such feelings, at least as far as he can remember. Smiling warmly, he tells her that Izumi already thinks of her as a friend. Aoi looks skeptical, but Akira chuckles, saying that Izumi will probably pester her even more tomorrow, and that she should be ready for it. Aoi laughs, her cheeks flushing, and says she'd be really happy if that happens. Suddenly, Akira sniffs the air and notices something unusual. He asks Aoi if she smells something burning before dashing toward the kitchen, his heart pounding. When he gets there, he finds his burger completely charred and smoking. Aoi follows and bursts out laughing at the sight. Akira turns to her, surprised, and asks if she is laughing at him. Aoi's eyes sparkle as she replies that she's always thought he could do anything, and seeing him make a mistake like this is funny. Akira sighs, scratching his head, and admits that he isn't perfect. He tells her about how, when he first started living on his own, he once mixed up sugar with salt and made a miso soup so salty that it was undrinkable. Aoi listens attentively, her smile never fading, as Akira shares more stories of his domestic mishaps. Each tale makes her laugh a little more, and soon the two are sitting at the dining table, ready to attempt eating the burnt burger. Akira asks if she is really okay eating it, but Aoi assures him that it is still edible and worth a try. Smiling at him, she says that even if it doesn't taste great, this moment might become a good memory. Her words make Akira pause and reflect, realizing the truth in what she says. A mistake that feels troublesome when you are alone can turn into something to laugh about when shared with someone else. Later that night, Akira lies in bed, unable to sleep. His mind is buzzing with everything Aoi has said, and he feels too restless to stay in bed. He decides to get up for a glass of water. As he walks into the living room, he notices Aoi curled up on the couch, fast asleep. The quiet hum of the washing machine ends with a beep, and Akira realizes she must have been waiting for her laundry to finish. Wanting to help, he quietly moves to transfer her clothes to the dryer. As he reaches for the pile, his hand brushes against something soft. Checking what it is, his face turns pale when he realizes it is Aoi's bra. Panic surges through him as his mind races. Deciding to act like nothing has happened, he hurriedly moves to finish the task. Just as he is about to leave, he hears soft footsteps behind him. Aoi's gentle voice calls out to him, and Akira freezes. Spinning around in a panic, he blurts out that he hasn't touched anything on purpose and is just trying to help since she's fallen asleep. Before she can say anything, Akira bolts to his bedroom, slamming the door shut behind him. Collapsing onto his bed, his face burns with embarrassment, and he thinks to himself that this might be the end. A few days later, Akira is walking to school, reflecting that after the incident with the underwear, they set a few house rules to maintain order. Still, he thinks to himself that it was worth it, and it was quite a sight. Later in class, Aoi enters the classroom, grabbing everyone's attention because of how stunning she looks. She's a little confused about the reaction, while Akira thinks to himself that it's natural and they're surprised because Aoi has undergone a radical transformation and looks absolutely exquisite. Izumi shows up, greeting her good morning as she hugs her, which catches everyone's attention as they realize she's with Aoi. This draws the admiration of many girls and stares from the boys, though not everyone seems thrilled about it. Akira notices this and thinks there's no way everyone's opinion will change suddenly, but at least things can keep improving from here. He reassures himself that everything will get easier from now on. Some days later, all four of them gather at Akira's house. Izumi and Eiji ask what the issue is, and Akira responds that he needs to talk to them about Aoi's future. He explains that, as mentioned before, he's trying to improve her situation and wants to hear their opinions about what to do next. Eiji agrees to listen to his situation. Akira explains that there are two main problems right now. The first is that both students and teachers have a negative impression of Aoi, which was somewhat inevitable. However, he wants everyone to see her as a normal, beautiful girl and not some gyaru. Aoi reacts with surprise while Eiji agrees with Akira too, but Izumi is still not sure how they can achieve something like this. Akira suggests they should do something about it, saying he has an idea to clear up the misunderstanding with Izumi's help, which leaves her a bit confused. Akira explains that she is the class representative whom everyone trusts, so she can act as a bridge between Aoi and everyone else to help them get along. Over time, this could change their impression of Aoi. However, there's a chance Izumi's reputation could be affected if people start getting along with Aoi, since everyone assumes she's a delinquent. It's a bit risky, but Izumi responds that she doesn't care about that at all. She values her friend more and insists on helping her. Aoi looks with wide, bright eyes at Izumi and thanks her. Akira internally reflects that this might solve the issue, but he notes that clearing up misunderstandings with everyone isn't enough. There's also the academic aspect to consider. Eiji mentions that to improve the teacher's impression of Aoi, she needs to get good grades. Akira then asks Aoi about her recent exam results. She pulls out her report card from her backpack, leaving everyone shocked because her grades are very low. Aoi says she failed every subject except one, but she explains that she had to miss school to work and help her family, something she couldn't avoid. Akira says it will be enough at first if Aoi just avoids failing classes. Aoi agrees but still feels very embarrassed. Akira tries to reassure her, saying there's no need to feel that way and that they just need to improve from now on. He reflects that he felt the same embarrassment when he accidentally saw her underwear. He thinks he is doomed to mess up every time he tries to help Aoi. Still, Izumi tells Aoi not to worry, offering to tutor her if she wants to study, which cheers Aoi up. Akira knows Izumi is smart, and he is happy that Izumi is there for Aoi's help. Even Eiji agrees to help, suggesting they can all study together. Izumi gets excited thinking about a sleepover to study, and Akira suggests they can use his house for the sleepover. However, another issue arises, and it is about where Aoi will live in the future. Akira explains that he can only let her stay at his house until next March, when he transfers to another city. By then, they need to find a place where Aoi can live comfortably. This, he admits, is the biggest problem they need to solve. Akira reflects on how hard it must be for students without parents, unable to imagine being in such a situation and the anxiety it must cause Aoi. He thinks it's almost a miracle that, despite everything, she can still smile so beautifully. Eiji then suggests that it would be best if a family member could take care of Aoi, and he asks if Aoi has any grandparents. She responds that she hasn't been in contact with her relatives, but she did meet her grandmother when she was a child. He asks if she remembers where her grandmother lives. Aoi answers that all she knows is that it's not in the same city. Akira reassures her, saying that's at least a start, and they have nothing to lose by trying to find her. They all agree that it is at least better than not knowing anything, and they decide to go on with their plan to clear up the misunderstandings around Aoi. With a beautiful smile on her face, Aoi appreciates the gesture and thanks everyone. The next day at school, they begin the plan with Izumi at the lead to help everyone get along with Aoi. Izumi strikes just at the right time when the teacher asks them to form a group for a project. Izumi cheerfully asks Aoi if she would like to join their group. The girls already in her group are shocked at first, but Izumi convinces them, saying Aoi is really easy to talk to, and she assures them that Aoi will be a good friend. Aoi nervously greets them, and the girls also try to go along, trusting Izumi's judgment. Akira watches the girls now getting along with Aoi and cannot believe how Izumi effortlessly executed the plan. Thanks to her incredible communication skills, their classmates gradually start to let their guard down and begin talking to Aoi. The plan is turning into a success, and slowly even Aoi is now able to talk to other girls on her own. However, Akira is a bit annoyed because recently, many guys have been coming to see Aoi during every break, making him quite jealous, although he does not admit it. Izumi ends up chasing them away, making Akira feel proud. But then she laughs at him, confusing him because he does not understand why she is laughing. During lunch, Aoi is eating with Izumi, who proposes that they volunteer together. This confuses her at first, but Izumi explains that she is already doing volunteer work for the school, like cleaning, visiting old people, and doing this will help the teachers have a better image of Aoi. Izumi says that she is volunteering at an orphanage to play with the kids and suggests Aoi join her if she is interested. She also adds that boys can come along if they want, as she was thinking of inviting them too. Without a second thought, Aoi agrees, which makes Izumi very happy. On Sunday, Akira sees there are a lot of participants as they reach the orphanage. Eiji is not with them, as he has other plans. As they enter the orphanage, Izumi explains that children from kindergarten to elementary school live here, surprising Akira because he did not realize there were so many kids in this situation. He reflects on how ignorant he was, and even Aoi is in the same situation as these kids. Before coming, he had asked Izumi if it was appropriate for Aoi to visit such a facility, but surprisingly, Aoi herself insisted on coming. Akira then asks Izumi what they will be doing today. She replies that they will be playing with the kids. When the orphanage staff opens the door in front of them, suddenly a bunch of children rush out, excited to see Izumi, which surprises Akira. The kids rush at Izumi to hug her, and they all gather around her excitedly, while there is one girl standing alone and watching the others. The trio is now having fun playing with the kids. Aoi is playing with the girls while Akira and Izumi play tag with the other kids. Akira stops to take a breath as he thinks to himself how it's possible that these kids have more stamina than he does. He tells Izumi he wants to take a break, and she continues to play with the kids. Akira had thought it would be easy playing tag with the kids, but now he realizes it is very difficult to play with such hyperactive children, especially for someone as quiet as him. Akira then notices that Aoi is genuinely having fun, making it all worthwhile. Their eyes meet, and he's struck by how beautiful she is. Approaching her, she asks if he's finished playing with the other kids. He is already tired of being humiliated, and he says he was thinking about playing with the other kids now. Aoi invites him to join them, and Akira agrees and sits down with them. The kids start to stare at him in awe and pull on his shirt, cutely asking if he's perhaps Aoi's boyfriend, making him blush deeply at the question. Realizing they are expecting an answer, he hesitates, unsure of how to respond. He glances over at Aoi, prompting her to say that he isn't her boyfriend, catching him off guard. The girls then ask if he's her husband, making Akira even redder. She clarifies again that he isn't her husband either, disappointing the girls, who lament that they won't be able to play the role of mom and dad. Akira feels a bit sad at how quickly she had denied the possibility, thinking to himself that even if he wasn't her boyfriend, it still stung. Just then, Aoi interrupts, telling the girls to wait. She says that, while he isn't her boyfriend or husband, he is someone very important to her. This statement moves Akira, and she asks if he is willing they could indeed play the role of mom and dad together. This sends Akira spiraling into a whirlwind of emotions, thrilling the girls as well. He agrees, thinking to himself that he can't believe she considers him someone so important, even if they aren't romantically involved. He begins to feel they might be getting closer. Just then, he notices the girl from earlier, who seems to be sitting alone. When he asks about her, Aoi explains that some people had tried talking to the girl but hadn't succeeded in getting her to speak. She speculates that the girl might be shy or prefer to be alone, but she seems too lonely. Aoi then stands up, saying she will go talk to the girl. Akira offers to go with her, but she assures him it is better if she goes alone, as they might overwhelm the child if they both approach her. She leaves, and Akira asks a nearby caregiver if the girl is always alone. The caregiver confirms, explaining that it has been 3 months since she arrived, and despite their efforts, she still hasn't responded to anyone. Akira reflects that 3 months is a long time for someone to adapt to a new environment, but it is also far too short a time for a child to process the loneliness of living away from their parents. He remembers how he too had a hard time at that age trying to adjust in his new school. The caregiver adds that the children there always come under different circumstances, so they try to provide personalized care. However, it seems this girl might be particularly difficult to reach. Akira realizes then that he is beginning to understand more about the meaning of volunteering. It isn't just about helping, it is about being patient and connecting with others, even in challenging situations, so the child can have someone to play with and not feel lonely. This worries Akira because they don't know how to help her. When the time comes to leave, Akira goes to Aoi to leave together, but as Aoi starts to get up, the girl pulls on her shirt and stops her. This confuses Aoi a bit as the girl asks her not to go. Aoi walks near the girl, takes her hand, and apologizes, saying she must go home but will definitely visit her again to play with her. The girl asks if she really means it. Aoi responds affirmatively, adding that next time they can paint something together, which makes the girl very happy. They even make a sacred pinky promise. On their way out, Akira tells Aoi that it seems the girl really wanted to spend more time with her. Aoi replies that it is true. Akira mentions that a staff member told him it has been 3 months since the girl arrived at the facility, and during that time she didn't want to talk to anyone. That's why he is genuinely surprised when she talks to Aoi. Curious, Akira asks what they were talking about before he arrived. Aoi responds that they didn't actually talk about anything, which confuses him even more. She explains that she just stayed by the girl's side without saying or doing anything, which surprises Akira. He thinks to himself that he can't believe a child can open her heart simply by having someone stay quietly by her side. Aoi interrupts to say that the girl reminds her a lot of herself when she was a child. Back in kindergarten, Aoi was very introverted and didn't have friends either. Like the girl, she wouldn't respond when spoken to and always stayed in the corner of the room. At that time, her parents were already having problems, and she was going through a tough time. Although she was lonely, she deeply wanted to have someone by her side and good friends like everyone else, but she was too afraid to tell anyone. Then, one day, a boy noticed her while everyone else ignored her. That boy always stayed by her side. They didn't talk or play together, and she believes he stayed with her just so she wouldn't feel lonely. Akira wonders if Aoi might have felt like that girl he once knew, the one who always sat alone in the corner of the room. His first love. He recalls how, no matter how much he tried to talk to her, she wouldn't respond. But when they finally managed to exchange a few words, he had to move away because of his father's job. He deeply regrets not being able to make the girl he loved smile during her moments of solitude. To him, it's simply a very bitter memory. Aoi breaks the silence, saying that to the girl, the people around her must have seemed strange. But she herself was very happy, so she decides to do for that girl what the boy had done for her back then. This leads Akira to reflect, thinking that because she went through a similar experience, she knows exactly how to understand the girl's feelings. Thanks to this, she is able to connect with her. Akira then thinks that, given her current situation, Aoi cannot afford to worry about others. That's why he thought it might be risky for her to visit the orphanage. But he realizes his fears were unfounded, as even in this situation, Aoi remains a kind and selfless person. She interrupts, saying that Akira is kind too. Akira denies this, but Aoi insists it's true because it mirrors what he did for her. This confuses him until she explains that, on that rainy day, he spoke to her and invited her to his home without asking for any details. Besides, he's still with her. Compared to what she and that boy had done, Akira is much kinder. Her words leave him speechless, struck by her sincerity. He begins to reflect on his past actions, wondering if he made the right choices or if he could have done better. But Aoi's words ease his heart, calming his worries. He then says they should revisit that girl, as he had promised. Walking home together at sunset, he feels like the sun seems brighter than ever. The next day, they prepare for their upcoming exams and decide to form a study group. Akira realizes he has forgotten about it since he has been so focused on spending time with Aoi. Izumi comments that it's nice to see Aoi being regarded more favorably now, but it's time to buckle down and study, or they'll face big problems. Akira agrees, recalling that the last time he saw Aoi's grades, they were in red. Izumi interrupts by asking Akira if they can meet after school, to which he agrees. Izumi and Eiji then announce they'll come to his house that evening to study together, prompting Aoi to thank everyone. That afternoon, Akira leaves the house to buy supplies for the study session, asking Aoi to watch the house while he's gone. Aoi responds by saying that she will clean the house until he returns. Akira agrees and begins to leave, while Aoi waves goodbye to him. Akira also waves back, but as he walks a short distance, he turns around to see Aoi still waving at him with a smile. Feeling shy, Akira waves again before continuing on his way. However, he stops once more, turns back, and notices Aoi is still waving. Akira, feeling increasingly flustered, starts thinking to himself that it almost feels as though they are a married couple, with Aoi as his wife. Quickly shaking off the thought, he tells himself to focus on his tasks and heads off to the mall. He reflects on how nice it feels to have someone waiting for you. When he first started living alone, it felt good for a while. But loneliness eventually consumed him, and he learned that the feeling of independence was only temporary. Now that he lives with Aoi, though, he doesn't feel that way anymore. They watch movies together after dinner, let each other know their plans for the next day before going to sleep, and even when they're doing separate things, just being in the same space makes him feel so much better. He's no longer alone. Having someone by his side has made him realize how rewarding it is. He thinks surprisingly, maybe he's the one who was saved by starting this life with her. At the mall, Akira considers preparing a nice dinner for everyone coming to his home to study. But as he starts planning, he realizes he has been living with Aoi for a month now, and he doesn't know what she actually likes to eat. She always eats whatever he cooks with enthusiasm, so he's never really paid attention to her preferences. Still, there's no time to dwell on regrets, and he decides he'll ask her what she likes to eat so he can get to know her better. Akira contemplates what items he should buy when he suddenly hears a voice from behind asking what he is doing. Startled, Akira turns around to find Izumi standing there. Akira tells her not to scare him like that. Izumi asks if he has come shopping as well, and then remarks that he doesn't need to worry about shopping since she has already picked up various items for both of them. She enthusiastically mentions that they will all have dinner together. Akira insists that she doesn't need to bother about these things, as he can handle everything himself. Izumi reassures him that it's fine and suggests they cook together because it will be more fun. He can't refuse her offer, so they end up heading home together. Izumi suddenly asks Akira if he has done anything with Aoi yet. Hearing this, Akira becomes nervous and asks what she means, emphasizing that they do not have that kind of a relationship. Izumi, sounding disappointed, asks if they haven't even kissed yet. Akira replies that since they aren't dating, a kiss is out of the question. Izumi accuses him of lying, questioning how a boy and a girl could live together without anything happening. Izumi, pondering, wonders aloud if Akira might actually like guys since he gets along well with Eiji. Izumi panics and warns him that Eiji is her boyfriend and she will not give him to Akira. Akira, confused, tells her she imagines the strangest things. Izumi persists, asking if he truly doesn't see Aoi in a romantic light, adding that she had expected something to happen. Akira indignantly replies that she has misunderstood him, clarifying that he is not that kind of guy. Still, he secretly thinks that it wouldn't be so bad if something were to happen. Izumi breaks the tension, saying she was just joking, but she did want to ask him why he helped Aoi. Akira says there is no special reason, and everyone has their reasons for helping someone. Unable to hide the truth, he admits that whenever he sees Aoi, he is reminded of his childhood love. When he saw Aoi sitting in the rain at the park, it brought back memories of that girl, and he couldn't just leave Aoi there alone. Izumi mocks him, saying she had always thought of Akira as pure. Akira gets flustered, saying that he still is. Izumi then probes further, asking what happened to his childhood love. Akira explains that during their childhood, they were in the same class. However, in the end, he had to transfer schools, and they lost touch, though he always wished he could make her smile just once. This makes Izumi feel a bit sad, and she asks if he remembers the girl's name. If he remembers her name, he could try to find her. He thinks about it but says he doesn't really remember, though he's fairly certain her last name was Shinoda. Still, he isn't entirely sure if that's correct. Izumi replies that there's nothing they can do in this case now. Akira reflects, hoping she's doing well wherever she is. He admits to himself that he'd love to meet her again, but knows it's impossible. Izumi remarks, before bluntly asking if he has any feelings for Aoi. He says no, but insists she doesn't have to put it that way. However, he also feels a bit sad about it. Akira explains he cannot approach Aoi with her situation because he would feel like he is taking advantage of her weakness. Suddenly, Izumi interrupts, declaring that he must make Aoi smile, no matter what it takes, and she does not wish that Akira regrets the same thing twice. Akira asks what she means by that. At that moment, they see Eiji waiting nearby. Izumi rushes toward him, and Eiji asks Akira if they were shopping together. Akira explains that they had met at the mall. Then, Eiji takes the shopping bags from Izumi. She smiles and hugs him, saying that she loves him. Seeing this, Akira wonders how he ended up stuck among these overly affectionate pairs. He starts imagining Aoi confessing her love to him, and how he will do the same. Snapping out of his thoughts, Akira tries to collect himself. Eiji notices his flushed face and inquires why it is red. Without explaining, Akira, on the verge of tears, heads home. When Akira opens the door, Aoi greets him, and he points to the door, saying he met with them on the way too. Izumi jumps onto her and asks how she has been. Witnessing this, Akira and Eiji are both surprised and comment on how well the two have bonded. They were completely opposites, but somehow something attracts them to each other. Akira reflects that every time he sees the two of them, he thinks of the sun and the moon, feeling like Aoi has grown much brighter with the extremely bright Izumi. Eiji comments that he understands, but he doesn't think Aoi's source of light is Izumi, which leaves Akira confused. Later, they all cook and eat to their heart's content. Izumi overeats and complains about feeling full. Eiji checks if she is okay, to which Izumi responds that she only needs a little rest. Afterwards, Akira decides to save the cherry mochi for tomorrow, which prompts Izumi to perk up with excitement. She then asks Aoi if she knows the tradition of eating late-night snacks. Akira remarks that he should have bought more sweets at the supermarket. Izumi gets the brilliant idea and suggests to Aoi that they go together to buy more sweets. However, Akira ends up stopping her, saying it's too late. Akira says that he and Eiji will go instead. He suggests that the two of them take a bath and wait for them. Izumi remarks that Akira is truly a good person, and Aoi agrees. This makes Izumi blush a little as she teases Aoi by asking how kind Akira is, prompting Aoi to start blushing too as she says that he takes care of her, listens to her, and is genuinely kind. This surprises everyone as they turn towards Aoi. This makes Akira think to himself that he had never considered Aoi in that way before. Her family situation must have been so harsh that she couldn't even express her feelings in words. Izumi encourages Aoi to talk more openly with Akira and express her feelings to him and be especially sweet to him. She suggests Aoi tell him what she wants to eat. Nervously, Aoi says she wants to eat some pudding. This surprises Akira, who finds her so adorable that he could buy the whole store for her. He agrees to buy some for her. Izumi then tells Aoi to keep chatting in the bath, confusing her. Aoi asks if she's really planning to join her in the bathroom, to which Izumi confidently agrees. Akira, thinking to himself, finds it impossible that Aoi wouldn't believe anything weird that Izumi tells her. Still, he admits he would be jealous if they bathed together. However, brushing aside those thoughts, he wonders when exactly the night turned into a girls' night. He starts imagining the scene of them bathing together, snapping back to reality and chastising himself for thinking such things. Izumi then interrupts, saying they will go and take a bath. Akira and Eiji also decide to leave for the convenience store. Akira and Eiji return from buying sweets at the store. Akira reflects that they definitely need to start studying once they get back if they want to pass their exams. Eiji interrupts his thoughts, asking if Akira thinks Aoi has a lot of trust in him. Akira replies, telling Eiji not to mock him just because he has a girlfriend. Eiji reassures him that he's not mocking, just curious if anything has happened between them yet. Akira hesitantly admits that nothing has happened so far. He explains that when they first started living together, it was awkward because he thought she was a gyaru, and she was always so quiet, speaking only when necessary. He believes that if it weren't for Izumi, Aoi might never have expressed her true feelings. Eiji agrees there is nothing they can do about it since it's difficult for complete strangers to suddenly start getting along. Akira now understands what Eiji was trying to tell him before. Communication is essential to protect a relationship between two close individuals. Without it, misunderstandings only grow until they reach a breaking point. If you don't put in the effort to understand each other, it becomes impossible to stay together, especially if they are of the opposite sex. Eiji smiles, saying that despite this, Akira and Aoi seem to get along well. Akira admits that, to be honest, he isn't sure. Recalling the time he saw Aoi in the rain, he doesn't know if it was the right decision to bring her home. Even though he's happy that Aoi trusts him and feels glad to help her even a little, he wonders what she really thinks about him now. He muses that perhaps there was another way to handle the situation, which makes him question whether what he did was truly necessary. Akira explains that he can't ask her about it, because if he did, she'd likely just tell him not to worry. He isn't entirely sure if what he's doing is the right thing, and this uncertainty is something he constantly carries with him. Eiji replies that he's wrong. Even if Akira believes his actions were unnecessary, that doesn't mean they were bad. This confuses Akira further, but Eiji continues, saying that it doesn't change the fact that he did save Aoi. This makes Akira blush slightly. Eiji adds that maybe there was a better way to handle things, and there are a billion ways it could have gone, but only Aoi knows what she truly feels. And he doesn't think she was lying when she said Akira was very kind. That's also one of the reasons she accepted his help. Akira feels his spirits lifted, and Eiji then remarks that when it comes to reserved people like Aoi, you have to try your best to help them, even if it means being as convincing as possible. He adds that it's also important to believe what she says and not overanalyze her words, and he should appreciate what's right in front of him. Akira cannot believe Eiji is just a high school student and so wise when it comes to relationship advice. Eiji smiles, saying he just found a girlfriend a little earlier than most. Akira now feels a lot better about his decisions and thanks Eiji for his wise words. Eiji replies that nobody in the world knows what's truly right. The best thing you can do is try your hardest, not overthink things, and not worry too much. After all, life is short, and high school won't last forever. As Akira heads home, he thinks to himself that there's a reason why Eiji is his best friend. He resolves to do his best, trust Aoi, and give it his all.
That's all for today. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next. If you've got any suggestions on which manga I should cover next, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!